Welcome to our new message series that we're calling Defining Moments. Psychologists tell us that when we evaluate a single experience or even a season of our life, we don't judge the experience as a whole, but we average it out and then determine its quality and value. Rather, we tend to judge and evaluate experiences or seasons of our life based on specific moments that come to stand for the whole. Advertising and marketing capitalize on this truth of human nature all the time. Airlines, hotels, and vacation companies depict the moments we want replicated in our lives. The moment you relax on the beach, or connect romantically with your spouse, or really enjoy one another's company as a family. Moments tend to stand for the whole of our experience, or perhaps an idealized version of our experience. This is why, even though a vacation or a trip can have many difficult and challenging moments, you remember it fondly. You have to. You spend too much money not to. And this is why two people can attend the same event and walk away from it with completely different opinions about that particular experience. Their minds have fixated on different moments. Your view of church may come down to certain key moments from your experience. If you like church, it may well be that you associate church with comfort or encouragement because you found in it church at key moments in your life. Or maybe you have stayed away from church for a long time because there were key moments that were the exact opposite. Someone from the church criticized you, or put you down, or made you feel guilty. And because of that moment, you don't associate good things with the church. Moments matter because they come to stand for how we view the world. Moments matter because they form a kind of lens through which we understand ourselves, our world, our place in the world, our relationships, God. Moments matter, and some moments matter more. Defining moments are brief experiences, some brimming with meaning, that they bring definition and clarity into our lives. And there are different kinds of defining moments. There are moments of decision, saying yes to the job, making the down payment. You walked away from a friendship over a principle. There are teachable moments when a parent, teacher, or coach imparts a real-life lesson, a poignant and moving experience that leaves lasting impressions, a value discovered. There are moments of insight and understanding, where suddenly everything adds up and makes sense. When the masks come off and you find out what's behind the curtain or a secret is revealed. You recognize a new or different direction to take. Bill Hybels calls this the Popeye moment. The famous comic strip character was an easygoing sailorman who always was pushed around by the villain Bluto. And Bluto inevitably makes a move on Popeye's girlfriend, Olive Oyl, which would set Popeye off, and he would announce, That's all I can stand. I can't stand no more. I had my own Popeye moment when about 11, 12 years ago, I was having individual meetings with our Level 8 confirmation candidates. As the pastor, it was my job to assess their readiness and to assure that they were prepared to receive the sacrament of confirmation. During the rite of confirmation, I was required to present the candidates and assure the officiant, the vicar or the bishop, that they were ready to be witnesses to the faith out in the world. Anyway, I would ask each of the candidates this question: is Jesus God? And everyone down to a person said, no. I thought to myself, what are we doing here? And I just knew that things in our faith formation program needed to change. That is when we started the Faith Fest program with the intergenerational component and opened the program to the whole parish. The thought was that faith is transmitted in the family and that we needed to make a better effort to reach the whole family. All the while, we offered a traditional weekly faith formation program as well. And finally, 7 years ago, we made the break from the traditional model and into our monthly family faith formation program, which we now call LIFT. I am pleased to say that we are seeing good results with the program, and our confirmation candidates are more prepared than in years past. These programs all came about because I had that one defining moment. That moment helped us as a church transform the faith formation program into one that supports our parents to grow the faith in their families. Moments of insight and understanding. But then there is another kind of defining moment that is sort of in a class by itself. And I would call them moments of significance. Moments of significance are times when we connect our everyday life to something bigger than ourselves, something greater. And these are moments in which we see that we are part of a greater story or a greater mission. We see this played out this morning in the passage we read from the Gospel of Matthew. Matthew writes, "When Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of King Herod, behold, the Magi from the east arrived in Jerusalem, saying, 'Where is the newborn King of the Jews? We saw his star at its rising and have come to worship.'" Probably not actual kings to have made this kind of trip. They would have been wealthy members of the aristocracy. The Magi were probably Zoroastrians, which was a monotheistic pre-Islamic religion in Persia. These astrologers closely tracked the movement of heavenly bodies and claimed to read them as omens of earthly events. As astrologers, these men would have been studying the stars from their youth. But here, they have a defining moment that is definitely a moment of significance. Suddenly, they see something completely different from anything that they had seen before. They see something that breaks from the usual template of what they usually see in the sky. This is often how defining moments come to us in the midst of attending to the ordinary, the everyday, the expected. We see this happen over and over again in the Scriptures. God meets people in their normal routine by doing something out of the ordinary. God gets Moses' attention with a burning bush while he's working as a shepherd. Jesus encounters Peter when he returns from an ordinary fishing trip. Jesus stops at Matthew's table when he is busy at his job collecting taxes. Here, the Magi notice something different in the sky. The appearance of a new star, a major new star, would have foretold the birth of a great leader. Not good news for everyone. When King Herod heard this, he was greatly troubled, and all of Jerusalem with him. Assembling the chief priests and the scribes of the people, he inquired of them where the Christ was to be born. By all historical accounts, Herod was an insecure and emotionally unstable figure. The point is, when he was unhappy, everyone around him was unhappy. And he was very unhappy when he heard the news of the Magi. And so Herod goes to the religious leaders to find out what the Scriptures had to say about the birth of the Messiah. And he would not have known the Scriptures himself because he really wasn't a practicing Jew. Scripture does indeed foretell where the Messiah would be born, as they point out to him, "You, Bethlehem, though you are small among the clans of Judah, out of you will come for me one who will rule over Israel." Herod gives this information to the Magi so that they might find the child. The story continues. After their audience with the king, they set out, and behold, the star that they had seen at its rising preceded them until it came and stopped over the place where the child was. They were overjoyed at seeing the star, and on entering the house, they saw the child with Mary, his mother. So now we see another defining moment. After traveling hundreds and hundreds of miles from Persia to Bethlehem, the Magi see the star where Jesus was. They have an epiphany or insight that the reason that they have traveled is to encounter the person of Christ. Matthew tells us they were overjoyed at seeing the star. All the years of studying the stars, all the travel comes down to this moment where they see the reason for their efforts. And then there is another defining moment. Matthew tells us they prostrated themselves and did him homage. They opened their treasures and offered him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. The three gifts have always suggested three Magi. The gift of frankincense honored his divinity as it was an incense that would be used in worship. The myrrh honored Jesus' humanity as it was used for embalming. And the gift of gold honored Jesus' kingship. There is a happy ending for the Magi. And having been warned in a dream not to return to Herod, they departed for their country by another way. As a result of these key moments, the Magi realized that they were in a bigger story. The biggest story of all, the biggest story ever. And up until this very moment, God's revelation and the design of his loving purposes were directed to the Jewish people, our forebears in faith. But with the presence of the Magi in the Christmas story, The gift of God, that is Christ, is given to the whole world and to all people. The Magi's story was shaped by key moments. Moments matter. They help us define where we are and where we are going. When it comes to faith, they matter for three reasons. First, God uses moments in our life to reveal His purpose and plan in your life and to encourage you to grow to trust Him. Everyone I know who has a personal and living relationship with Christ can recall those moments. And those moments aren't just frozen experiences from the past, but they recall those moments to help them continue to grow in the future. Our role is to be on the lookout for those moments and pay attention to them. Second, moments are always key for understanding ourselves. Some of our greatest fears and deepest hurts can be traced back to a few moments. You may be held back by a moment that happened a long, long time ago. But if you recognize and understand those moments, God can help break that power over you. But first, you must recognize them. Third, we can leverage moments to love others. As human beings, we have a fundamental need to be understood, and understanding others and their perspective can be greatly improved by knowing their defining moment. In addition, we can create and shape moments that express our love for people or help them to overcome their hurts and their hang-ups. You can use moments to recognize people in your life or to teach them valuable lessons. So, over the next few weeks, we are going to take some time to look at defining moments. And my challenge for you this week is twofold. First, make a commitment to be part of this series. Join us here in person or join us online as we stream our 8:30 and 10:30 Masses. Second, take some time in your quiet time this week to simply name 3 to 5 defining moments of your life. Name them and pray about them. Ask God to show you what He is doing in your life. A new year is a perfect time to remember that our time is God's gift and it's in His hands. And although we don't always see it, God is at work in our lives every single moment.